really interested in how did you end up doing this work? You've been ATSA president, you've been the vice president of IATSO, you've produced numerous studies, more than I can count. But I don't think this is what you didn't grow up saying, I want to be one of the world's leading researchers in sex offenses by adolescents.
No. I actually got my start after I finished my master's degree. I worked in government consulting in the DC area for about 3 years, doing policy work and research in alcohol abuse and alcoholism. And then I went back for a PhD, and I was kind of at the front end of health psychology and behavioral medicine. My doctoral work was in cardiovascular reactivity, and did an internship at University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha. My first job was at a research and demonstration in arterial sclerosis in New Orleans. So I often joke that I'm a health psychologist who got lost on my way out of New Orleans and started doing sexual violence research. I got started in this field as the experimental psychologist for California's Sex Offender Treatment and Evaluation Project. More noted, most people who are listening will know that as the Marcus study.
Yeah.
So
And some of us won't have heard of it at all. Apologies. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started there. I was interested. I had learned about relapse prevention back in the job that I had in the late 70s, working on government-wide initiatives project in alcohol abuse and alcoholism. And one of my jobs was to facilitate a weekend retreat of the leading experts in rehabilitation and treatment of alcoholism and alcohol abuse. And that's where Alan Marlatt started talking about relapse prevention. So fast forward, 8 years later, and had an opportunity to be involved in this project. And I was intrigued by the modification of relapse prevention, and how we as a group would go about doing that, and the opportunity to be involved in a random clinical trial of a serious social problem. Living on the central coast of California was a bit of a inducement as well. I'm a Southern California boy. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley area of Los Angeles. So a lot of my early life is given by a cartoon that I often show before I start a presentation that says, "Leaving California, get real."
Oh, nice. All right, and ended up in Minnesota. I realize time is tight. Can you just describe the SOTEP studies that you did at Atascadero with Janice Marcus?
Yeah, SOTEP was a random clinical trial, and it was relapse prevention was really the first intervention that moved the field from basically either psychodynamic models or strict behavioral models. And it was the first to really incorporate social cognitive theory and cognitive behavior therapy. And my role was, I was the head of research, the head of research at the treatment site. And so I developed a lot of the models for the assessment packages, and learned how to do PCLR ratings from Bob Hare and his research team, and developed follow-up interviews and those kinds of things. I left after about 6 years, and moved to the University of Minnesota.
Nice. And well, I'll skip over a bit of well, I will just comment on SOTEP that it always interested me that the primary finding was that simply going through the treatment wasn't enough to reduce recidivism, but that those people who did meaningfully complete their treatment goals and who seemed to get it really did reoffend at lower rates. As a classic example of research raising more questions than it answers.